There comes a moment in every human life when silence becomes unbearable, when the quiet weight of potential unrealized, unexpressed, untested presses on the soul like an iron door. That is the moment the human spirit either breaks or awakens. Most people never awaken. They live half asleep, lulled by routine, distracted by noise, numbed by comfort. But there are a few, the rare, restless few, who feel that pressure and decide to rise. They refuse to let their destiny rust behind the gates of hesitation. They force themselves to move. They force themselves to act. And in that act, they ignite something divine. Understand, this greatness does not arrive with a trumpet. It comes disguised as a whisper. It calls you in the dark when no one else can hear it. It tests whether you will answer. It asks you to stand when your body trembles, to believe when reason mocks you, to keep building when no one sees the vision but you. That is the price of transformation, the private, unseen struggle against your own limits. The battlefield of life is not out there in the world. It is in your own mind. Every dream ever realized was first fought for in the unseen trenches of thought. Napoleon Hill once wrote that thoughts are things, powerful vibrating entities that shape reality itself. Modern science calls it neural programming, belief systems, cognitive conditioning. But Hill knew what those terms would later prove, that your outer world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner command. You are both the sculptor and the clay. Before any triumph, there is a decision so deep it feels like a spiritual vow. The decision to no longer accept the ordinary, to no longer make peace with weakness, to no longer live beneath your potential. Until that decision burns inside you like a fever, nothing will move. But when it does, when that fire catches, you will no longer need external motivation. You will become your own fuel. Desire is the beginning of all achievement. Not wishful thinking, not shallow wanting, but desire so fierce it consumes hesitation and doubt. Edison did not invent the light bulb through inspiration alone. He burned through 10,000 failures because his desire to bring light into the world outweighed his fatigue, his critics, and his comfort. Carnegie built empires not by chance, but by an unrelenting desire to master the laws of production, to multiply effort through systems. Desire is life's purest energy. Direct it, discipline it, and the world bends to its will. But desire without faith is a spark without oxygen. Faith is the alchemy that turns vision into form. Faith is not blind. It sees what is not yet visible. It is a discipline of thought, a chosen certainty in the face of uncertainty. Hill spoke of faith as an inner transmutation. When repeated belief reshapes the subconscious mind, when affirmations become convictions and convictions shape reality. The modern mind calls it neuroplasticity, the rewiring of the brain through persistent thought. The ancients called it prayer. The wise simply live it. When faith and desire combine, something magnificent occurs. The imagination ignites. Imagination is not child's play. It is the architect of every empire. Every plane, every bridge, every business, every work of art began as a flicker in someone's mind. Ford saw the automobile in his mind when others were still breeding faster horses. The Wright brothers saw a machine soaring through the skies when experts laughed at the impossibility of flight. Imagination is the preview of destiny. It is the permission slip you grant yourself to dream beyond your current reality. But imagination without direction is chaos. That is why definiteness of purpose is sacred. You must know what you want exactly, vividly, and relentlessly. The universe does not reward vague wishes. It responds to precise intentions. The mind cannot manifest what the heart cannot define. So write it, see it, feel it, live it until your purpose is so clear that hesitation has no room to exist. Once your purposes are clear, action must follow, immediate, decisive, disciplined action. This is where most people fall. They wait for perfect timing, for more resources, for validation. But perfect timing is an illusion. The universe respects movement, not excuses. Hill said it best, do not wait. The time will never be just right. Action crystallizes thought, and thought without action is the slow death of potential. Discipline is the bridge between thought and creation. It is the daily act of showing up when you're tired, when you're uninspired, when your emotions rebel. Discipline is not punishment, it is liberation. It frees you from the tyranny of moods, from the weakness of impulse. It builds character brick by brick through repetition, through sacrifice, through the quiet dignity of effort. Every great achiever has walked through that fire. Lincoln disciplined his mind to patience and persistence through years of loss and ridicule. Mandela disciplined his spirit through decades of imprisonment, turning pain into power. Discipline breeds momentum, and momentum breeds transformation. Yet even momentum faces resistance, the natural force of doubt, failure, and fear. Failure is not the enemy. Failure is the hand of refinement. It strips away illusion and teaches truth. Edison said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." The difference between those who rise and those who remain broken is not talent, it's interpretation. The great ones interpret failure as feedback. They study it, adapt, and advance. The weak interpret it as rejection and retreat into comfort. You must train your mind to love resistance. Resistance is proof you are advancing. Steel becomes unbreakable only in fire. Muscles grow only through tension. Your spirit strengthens only through struggle. Stop praying for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. The universe does not give comfort to the chosen, it gives challenge. Because challenge is the forge of evolution. Faith must be renewed daily, not in sermons or slogans, but in action. Every small act of courage strengthens the unseen muscle of will. Every morning you rise early to pursue your craft. Every temptation you resist, every moment you choose progress over pleasure, you are building an empire inside yourself. The external results will come but only after the internal foundation is unshakable. And here lies the secret most never grasp: your mind is programmable, your destiny customizable. What you think repeatedly, you become. What you speak consistently, you attract. What you act upon daily, you create. Your dominant thoughts are blueprints, and the subconscious is a builder that never sleeps. Feed it with fear and it constructs limitations. Feed it with faith and it builds miracles. Auto-suggestion. The deliberate control of thought is the art of self-creation. It is not magic, it is mechanism. Tell yourself every day who you are becoming until your actions align with your words. Speak to yourself as the architect, not the victim. Speak from your vision, not your current circumstance. Words are seeds, plant wisely. In the quiet moments when self-doubt whispers and fatigue creeps in, remember this: the same energy that created galaxies flows through your veins. The same laws that govern growth in the universe govern your own becoming. There is no separation between you and the greatness you seek, only layers of disbelief that must be burned away through persistence. Persistence is the hammer that breaks all resistance. It is the slow and glamorous repetition of effort long after the excitement fades. It is the daily fight against the easy path. The world belongs to those who persist, not because they never fall, but because they never stop getting up. Every setback becomes a stepping stone, every delay a test of faith, every doubt an invitation to reaffirm your will. Time will pass regardless. The question is not whether the clock will move, it's whether you will. Each sunrise is an invitation. Each day a chance to advance the vision or betray it. Force yourself to act not someday but today. Force yourself to take the first step, to make the call, to write the page, to build the skill, to speak the truth. Action cures fear. Indecision feeds it. The man who acts imperfectly achieves more than the man who dreams endlessly. Force yourself to take action day by day, because the universe does not reward intention, it rewards motion. Motion is the spark of creation. The moment you act, you send a signal into the unseen declaring, "I am ready." And in response, forces begin to align: people, opportunities, resources, coincidences, all gravitating toward the one who dares to move. That is the unseen law of motion and magnetism, the truth hidden in plain sight, that faith in action is the most powerful prayer a human can make. But action alone is not enough. It must be intelligent, directed, infused with awareness. Thoughtless motion is chaos. A lion may run fast, but without focus, it chases shadows. You must learn to act with purpose, to channel your energy like a laser, not a floodlight. Every day you must ask, does this action serve my definite purpose? Does this hour honor my vision? If not, you are scattering your power into dust. The man who masters his focus masters his destiny. Because attention is the currency of creation. What you give attention to grows. What you neglect decays. Most people spend their lives feeding distraction, scrolling, reacting, comparing, while their purpose starves in silence. The greatest discipline in the modern world is not physical endurance, but mental control. The ability to hold a single thought, a single goal, a single vision with unwavering clarity despite the noise. That is why solitude is sacred. In silence you meet yourself. You confront your weaknesses, your lies, your fears, and in that confrontation you reclaim your power. Great men have always understood this. Carnegie retreated to quiet rooms to think. Lincoln walked the fields of Washington in the dark, speaking to himself in solitude. Edison spent nights in the lab alone with his thoughts sculpting light from darkness. They understood that solitude is not emptiness, it is creation's womb. Inside that silence, the mind reveals its true architecture. You begin to see how every belief, every word, every self-concept has built the prison or the palace you inhabit. You realize that the limits you thought were real are self-imposed, and that the bars are made of thought. You begin to understand that your greatest battle is not against the world, it is against the smallness within you. The smallness that says you can't. The smallness that says not yet. The smallness that says, who are you to try? Silence destroys smallness. Faith rebuilds greatness. Action cements it. You are not meant to be comfortable. You are meant to evolve. Growth begins where comfort ends. Every legend, every innovator, every builder who ever changed the course of humanity chose discomfort deliberately. They understood that the path to mastery runs through pain. They saw fear not as an obstacle, but as a compass. Do you think Henry Ford was comfortable when he faced bankruptcy for the third time? Do you think Edison was comfortable failing 10,000 times? Do you think Mandela was comfortable in a prison cell? No. But they understood something most never will, that the pain of discipline is always less than the pain of regret. And so they endured. They persisted. They turned pain into purpose, fear into fuel, struggle into strength. You must learn to do the same. Every time you face resistance, recognize it as proof you are on the right path. If it were easy, everyone would walk it. But ease creates mediocrity. Hardship carves greatness. Diamonds are born under pressure. Stars are formed in collapse. And character, true unshakable character, is forged in the fire of adversity. Do not fear struggle. Fear the absence of it, because struggle is the sign that you are alive, that you are stretching the boundaries of what you once thought possible. Each obstacle is a teacher in disguise. It comes not to destroy you, but to reveal the strength that was sleeping within you. When the night is darkest, that is when faith must burn brightest. When everything around you crumbles, that is when your belief must become unbreakable. The universe will test you not to punish you, but to prove you. To see if you truly desire what you say you desire. To see if you will keep walking when the road disappears beneath your feet. The dream does not belong to the one who starts, it belongs to the one who endures. The one who keeps moving when no one claps, when no one sees, when no one believes. Because endurance is love in motion. It is proof that your vision means more to you than comfort, than validation, than the approval of the world. You must love your vision enough to suffer for it, to sacrifice for it, to devote your entire being to it until it manifests. The world has never bowed to half-hearted men. It bends only for the relentless, for those who are willing to crawl when they cannot walk, to bleed when they cannot breathe, to rise when they are broken. And when you fall, and you will remember this, falling is not failure. Failure is refusing to rise. Each fall strips away illusion, each setback reveals new strategy. There is no wasted pain if you learn from it. There is no defeat if you persist beyond it. You are being sculpted. Every hardship chisels you into form. Every disappointment sharpens your wisdom. Every heartbreak expands your capacity for greatness. Life does not happen to you. It happens for you to prepare you for the responsibility of the power you seek. But you must claim that power. No one will hand it to you. Not the government, not your family, not luck. Power is seized through responsibility, through owning every aspect of your life. The moment you stop blaming, you begin building. The moment you stop complaining, you start creating. The moment you stop waiting, you start becoming. You are the cause, not the effect. The creator, not the victim. The world bends to the mind that refuses to be bent by it. So stop asking for guarantees, stop seeking certainty. The future will not unfold for the timid, it yields only to the bold. The man who demands security finds stagnation. The man who embraces uncertainty discovers destiny. The time for hesitation is over. The world belongs to the doers, the dreamers who act, the believers who persist. Force yourself to take action day by day, even when it feels pointless, even when progress seems invisible. Because greatness does not announce itself in thunder, it grows quietly like roots beneath the soil until one day it breaks through and becomes unstoppable. Most people quit in the soil stage. They plant a seed, water it for a week, and when nothing appears, they abandon it. They do not realize that growth happens in the unseen first. The roots must anchor before the stem can rise. So it is with your dreams. Just because you cannot see progress does not mean it is not happening. Trust the unseen process. Keep watering, keep believing, keep working. Consistency beats intensity. 1 hour every day for a year will defeat 100 hours once. It is the man who does the small things daily who conquers the impossible. Brick by brick, step by step, day by day. Every day you show up, you compound your strength. Every repetition deepens your mastery. Every small victory builds the momentum of destiny. When you look back a year from now, you will not recognize yourself. The pain, the discipline, the exhaustion, it will all have been worth it. Because the man you will become will stand taller, think clearer, feel stronger, and act with the authority of one who has conquered himself. And that is the true victory, not wealth, not fame, not applause, but self-mastery. The ability to command your own mind, your own emotions, your own destiny. When you master yourself, the external world becomes secondary. You no longer chase, you attract. You no longer react, you create. You no longer hope, you know. The greatest empire you will ever build is within, and the greatest enemy you will ever conquer is yourself. The self, that restless, untamed force within you, is both the key and the cage. Master it and the world opens like a book written for your hands. Ignore it and you will wander forever through the fog of indecision, ruled by emotion, enslaved by habit. The battle for your future begins not in your circumstances, but in your thoughts. It begins in the quiet, invisible corners of your own consciousness, where your fears whisper louder than your dreams. It begins every morning when your mind says rest, but your purpose says rise. This is the hour of decision, the moment where you choose who you are going to be. Because identity is not found, it is forged. It is carved through choices repeated until they become law within your being. Every disciplined action rewrites your character. Every act of courage etches new possibility into your destiny. You must force yourself to become the kind of person who follows through no matter how you feel, no matter how long it takes, no matter how uncertain the outcome. That is the price of transformation. You cannot think your way into greatness. You must act your way into it. The road is not lined with comfort. It is lined with resistance, with doubt, with exhaustion. But beyond it lies the only kind of freedom worth having, the freedom that comes from absolute self-command. It begins with awareness. Observe your thoughts as if they belong to someone else. Notice how quickly they run to limitation, to fear, to distraction. Most people never separate themselves from the noise in their minds. They think the noise is who they are. But the moment you see it clearly, you reclaim control. You begin to direct your mind instead of being directed by it. Your thoughts are not facts. They are suggestions. You can accept or reject them. You can rewire them through repetition, through focus, through belief. Every time you replace a thought of weakness with one of strength, you alter your destiny. This is not philosophy. It is physics. Energy flows where attention goes, and the energy of your attention is the most valuable force you possess. Guard it, feed it, aim it. Because whatever dominates your mind will eventually dominate your life. The man who fills his mind with failure finds it everywhere he looks. The man who fills his mind with faith transforms obstacles into opportunity. The difference between both is not circumstance, it is consciousness. Your consciousness is the soil. Faith, gratitude, and vision are the seeds. Action is the water. Persistence is the sunlight. Together they make the garden of your destiny bloom, but neglect them and weeds of doubt will choke every dream before it grows. Gratitude above all keeps your soil fertile. It is the antidote to fear, the solvent of scarcity. Gratitude rewires your mind to see abundance where others see lack. It is impossible to feel powerless while giving thanks. Every morning you awaken, you are standing in a miracle, your heart beating your lungs, drawing breath, your mind alive with potential. To take that for granted is to blind yourself to the truth of your power. When you are grateful, your energy expands. You attract possibilities because you are tuned to see them. Gratitude does not make you passive, it makes you powerful. It turns every challenge into an opportunity to grow, every delay into a test of faith, every obstacle into a lesson. And when you combine gratitude with intention, you enter the highest state of creation. You stop reacting to life and begin designing it. You wake up not to escape the day, but to conquer it. Each morning becomes sacred, a chance to reaffirm your vision, to declare who you are, to remind yourself that destiny belongs to those who decide it does. Begin every day as a warrior of purpose. Before the world invades your mind with noise, fill it with clarity. Visualize your goal. Speak your affirmations. Write your plan. Move your body. Prime your mind for victory. Hill called it auto-suggestion. Modern science calls it cognitive conditioning. Call it whatever you wish, but understand this: you are programming your destiny with every word you speak, every image you hold, every decision you repeat. And as the day unfolds, resist the poison of distraction. Every notification, every headline, every meaningless scroll is an attempt to steal your focus. Protect it as you would protect your life, because it is your life. Your future depends on what you pay attention to now. Remember, focus is a choice. You are not required to react to every stimulus. You are not obligated to chase every opinion. The mind that can hold silence amidst chaos becomes unstoppable. That silence is not emptiness, it is power gathering. It is the stillness before the storm. The world will call it calm. You will know it as control. And control once earned makes you dangerous to mediocrity, because a disciplined mind cannot be manipulated. A focused mind cannot be distracted. A grateful mind cannot be defeated. But even the strongest minds falter. There will be days when your will cracks, when fatigue whispers that it's all too much. Those are the sacred moments, the real tests. Anyone can act when inspired. Few can act when broken. The true warrior acts regardless. You must learn to rest, not quit. You must learn to pause, not stop. You must learn to breathe through the weight, to remember why you began when everything inside you screams to surrender. Because pain is temporary, but quitting rewrites your identity. Every time you push through the wall of fatigue, you build a new layer of belief. You teach your subconscious that you are stronger than you thought, that limits are lies, that endurance is your true nature. That is how the spirit grows, through resistance, through pressure, through pain, transmuted into power. So when you are tired, keep going one more hour. When you are doubting, take one more step. When you feel invisible, create one more masterpiece. When you feel forgotten, remember the universe is not ignoring you, it is preparing you, it is aligning every piece, every lesson, every moment for your breakthrough. You cannot rush divine timing, but you can prepare for it. You can keep sharpening your tools, keep refining your craft, keep walking in faith until the door opens, and when it does, you will be ready. Most people pray for opportunity, but run from preparation. They ask for success, but fear the discipline that creates it. You cannot have one without the other. The law of cause and effect is universal. You reap exactly what you sow, no more, no less. If your harvest is small, it is because your planting was inconsistent. If your results are delayed, it is because your faith was conditional. The laws of the mind are as exact as the laws of physics. They bend for no one. But once you align with them, once you make faith, your habit, action, your language and persistence, your religion, nothing in this world can stop you. Not time, not failure, not circumstance. Because the man who controls his mind controls his world. You will begin to notice it, the shift. The same problems will appear, but you will no longer flinch. The same fears will whisper, but they will no longer paralyze you. The same challenges will rise, but you will face them with a quiet certainty, because you will have mastered the one skill that defines all greatness, the ability to act in the absence of comfort. Force yourself to take action day by day, moment by moment, until the act of discipline becomes instinct, until hesitation feels unnatural, until every part of you moves in alignment with your purpose. That is when you become unstoppable, not because you found a secret shortcut, but because you became the kind of person who no longer needs one. Your destiny is not waiting for permission, it is waiting for your persistence. Your greatness does not need luck, it needs your consistency. Your dream does not require approval, it requires execution. So rise, not someday, not when you feel ready, now. Rise in the midst of doubt, in the face of fear, in the heart of fatigue. Rise when the world tells you to wait. Rise when no one is watching. Rise because you said you would. That is how revolutions begin, quietly within a single human soul who decides enough is enough. That is how legends are born, not in comfort, but in defiance. Rise and keep rising. Rise and keep rising until the horizon bends to your will. Until every fragment of weakness within you burns away in the fire of purpose. Until every heartbeat echoes with certainty. Because this is not about success. It's about evolution. It's about becoming the fullest expression of the power you were born to carry. The world doesn't need more followers, it needs more originals. Men and women who dare to think independently, who refuse to be molded by the mediocrity around them. The masses wait for permission, the great ones give it to themselves. They do not ask, "Can I?" They declare, "I will." Look around you. Every comfort, every advancement, every structure that shapes modern civilization was once an idea in the mind of a single individual who refused to conform. The light you see by the car you drive, the device in your hand, all of it exists because someone decided to believe more in their vision than in the laughter of the crowd. When Edison was mocked for chasing the impossible, he smiled. When Ford was told no one would buy a horseless carriage, he built it anyway. When Lincoln was defeated in election after election, he kept running until the nation itself bowed to his persistence. History does not remember the comfortable. It remembers the obsessed, the ones who refuse to stop. You must become obsessed, not with outcomes but with excellence, not with praise but with progress. The man who is obsessed with growth cannot be defeated because his victory lies not in the destination but in the becoming. Each day he rises, each moment he refines, each obstacle he overcomes, he wins again and again. There is a sacred madness in greatness, a kind of divine fire that burns reason into revelation. That fire is not given, it is earned. It is summoned through repetition, through discipline, through relentless dedication to the craft of living. The universe tests every soul who claims to want greatness to see if their hunger is real. And only those who endure the test receive the gift. When your faith is tested, when your patience runs thin, when your progress feels invisible, that is the initiation. That is the moment most give up. But the few who continue, the few who walk through the storm instead of waiting for it to pass, they are reborn. Because persistence transforms identity. You cannot persist and remain the same. Each act of endurance forges a stronger self. The you who begins the journey will not be the you who finishes it. You will shed skin after skin, beliefs, habits, fears, until all that remains is the truth of your strength. And that truth is simple. There are no limits but the ones you accept. There are no walls but the ones you build. You were not born to live small. You were born to command the infinite potential buried inside you. But potential means nothing without direction. Hill called it definiteness of purpose, the master key of achievement. To know exactly what you want to see it so clearly that every cell in your body aligns with it is to become unstoppable. Clarity is power. Vague desires produce vague results. A man without a goal drifts like a ship without a rudder at the mercy of the winds of circumstance. So define your purpose. Write it, speak it, breathe it, let it live in your mind as if it were already true. See the life you desire in detail, so sharp it stirs emotion. Feel it until your subconscious begins to accept it as fact. That emotion becomes magnetism. That vision becomes command. And once the mind accepts an idea as truth, the universe rearranges itself to match it. People will call it luck. You will know it as law. Yet even with clear purpose, doubt will still come. Doubt is the shadow of faith. It arrives to test your conviction to see if you will stand by your belief when the evidence is invisible. Do not run from doubt. Use it. Let it sharpen your resolve. Let it force you to build your faith on bedrock instead of sand. Because true belief is not belief in the absence of doubt, it is belief that endures despite it. When your vision is clear and your belief is solid, action becomes inevitable. And when action becomes consistent, results become unstoppable. But here lies another truth. Not all results arrive in the form you expect. Sometimes success comes disguised as failure. Sometimes progress feels like loss. The seed must decay before the tree can rise. You must learn to see the invisible gain within every apparent setback. The world will not always reward your effort immediately. You may labor for years in silence before the world claps for a single moment. But if your validation comes from purpose, you will not need applause. The quiet knowing that you are advancing is enough. The joy of mastery, the pride of discipline, the power of persistence, those are rewards no one can take from you. And yet as you rise, beware of pride. Success can seduce the mind into arrogance. Remember that humility keeps the soul open. Gratitude keeps the power flowing. The moment you think you have arrived, you stop growing. The mountain does not end, it reveals higher peaks. Stay a student. Keep learning. Specialized knowledge was Hill's foundation for wealth because ignorance is the enemy of progress. Never stop sharpening your mind. Study your craft until it becomes your language. Learn from masters, from books, from failure, from silence. The mind that hungers for wisdom becomes magnetic. Opportunities are drawn to it like iron to a magnet. And as you accumulate knowledge, transmute it into action. Knowledge without execution is paralysis disguised as intelligence. The world is full of thinkers who never build, dreamers who never do. Action is the great separator. It is the dividing line between those who wish and those who will. When you take consistent action aligned with a clear purpose, you begin to enter the state of flow, the divine rhythm where mind, body, and spirit move as one. Time fades, doubt disappears, effort transforms into expression. That is where genius lives, not in talent but in alignment. But flow cannot be reached by the distracted nor sustained by the undisciplined. It requires ritual, structure, a sacred devotion to daily excellence. Discipline is not the enemy of freedom, it is its architect. The man who disciplines his thoughts and habits liberates himself from chaos. He becomes the master of his own energy. And when you master your energy, you no longer chase success, it begins to chase you. You radiate certainty, and certainty is irresistible. People, opportunities, and resources orbit around those who move with conviction. You have felt it before the presence of someone who knows. They walk into a room and without a word the air shifts. That is the energy of self-mastery, of inner command. It cannot be faked, only forged. And it is forged through the relentless repetition of one truth: I'm responsible. I am capable. I am becoming. Say it until your mind believes it. Live it until the world reflects it. And never forget, each day you delay action, your dream fades one step further into the realm of someday. But each day you act, no matter how small the step, you carve it closer into reality. Force yourself to take action day by day, not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. Because motion is the language of creation and hesitation is its enemy. Do not wait for inspiration, command it. Do not hope for opportunity, create it. Do not wish for strength, build it. Every breath, every decision, every dawn is another chance to move. Move even when you're afraid. Move even when no one believes. Move because nothing grows in stillness. And one day when you look back, you will realize that every step, every sacrifice, every sleepless night was worth it. Because you will have become not just successful, but awake. Awake fully, fiercely, finally awake. Awake to the truth that you are not here merely to survive, but to create, to build, to expand, to lead, to live with such intensity that your very existence becomes a message to the world that ordinary men and women, through the mastery of thought and the discipline of action, can become extraordinary. When you awaken to this truth, life stops happening to you, it begins happening through you. You stop seeing the world as something outside yourself and start recognizing it as a mirror of your own consciousness. The fears you see reflected back are your own. The limitations you encounter are your own. But so too are the miracles. So too are the victories waiting in the corners of your belief. Every great civilization, every invention, every work of art began with one mind daring to think differently. The pyramids, the electric light, the printing press, the airplane, all of them were first laughed at. Every world changer was once dismissed as delusional. You will be too. That is the cost of vision. To believe in something that does not yet exist is to walk alone. To act on that belief is to invite ridicule. But to persist despite it, that is immortality. So do not fear being misunderstood. Fear being average. Fear dying with your potential still trapped inside you. Fear the life unlived, the one that could have been. That fear, properly harnessed, can drive you through every storm. The truth is, most people are not held back by lack of opportunity. They are held back by lack of persistence. They surrender too soon. They confuse temporary defeat with final failure. They mistake discomfort for danger. But history belongs to those who stay when others flee. To those who, like Lincoln, endure ridicule for vision. To those who, like Hill, study failure until it reveals its formula for success. There will be moments when your path grows dark, when the results vanish, when faith flickers. Those are not signs of defeat. They are tests of conviction. The universe asks, how badly do you want it? Will you continue even now, even when no one sees, even when no one cares? Answer not with words, but with action. Keep moving, keep building, keep believing. The world does not need more noise, it needs more examples. Be one. Be the one who keeps showing up, who keeps refining, who keeps breathing life into vision long after others have quit. Because the example of one disciplined soul can awaken 1,000 more. Your courage becomes the spark for others' fire. Your persistence becomes their permission to rise. That is how transformation spreads, not through speeches, but through embodiment. You cannot inspire others to climb if you have not dared to ascend. You cannot preach faith if you have not walked through fire. People do not follow words, they follow energy. And your energy speaks louder than anything you could ever say. This is why integrity matters. Every broken promise to yourself chips away at your power. Every time you say tomorrow when you mean now, you teach your subconscious that your word means nothing. And once your own mind stops believing you, no amount of motivation can save you. Keep your word to yourself first, even in the smallest things. Especially in the smallest things, because integrity compounds. It turns ordinary habits into sacred rituals. It builds self-respect, and self-respect builds strength. A man who trusts himself cannot be broken. Do not wait for perfect conditions. Begin with what you have. Greatness is born not from abundance, but from resourcefulness. Every limitation is an invitation to create. When you lack money, use imagination. When you lack support, use solitude. When you lack certainty, use faith. Your resources are never your problem. Your resourcefulness is. You are surrounded by invisible power waiting to be directed. The ideas, the connections, the timing, they are all there orbiting your intention. But they cannot align until you commit. The universe does not reveal its treasures to the hesitant. It opens only to the devoted. And devotion is not loud. It is consistent. It is the quiet repetition of greatness. It is doing what must be done when no one claps, when no one watches, when no one understands. It is the man in the gym before sunrise, the woman writing at midnight, the student studying while others sleep. That quiet consistency builds an invisible force around you. People call it luck. You'll know it as earned inevitability. Each morning you rise with purpose. You shift reality's axis. You send a signal, I am ready for more. Each night you close your eyes, having kept your word, you expand your belief. The days accumulate and soon the impossible begins to feel natural. But even then, do not settle. Never settle. Settling is the slow death of the spirit. The moment you stop climbing the summit becomes your prison. Life is movement. The law of growth is eternal expansion. To stagnate is to decay. So evolve. Not once, not occasionally, but constantly. Challenge your ideas. Test your beliefs. Seek new teachers. Learn new skills. Expand your vision, because the moment you stop growing, you begin to die. And yet, even in the pursuit of greatness, do not forget stillness. For power without peace is chaos. Learn to sit with yourself in silence. Learn to detach from the noise to quiet the storm within. Because in that stillness, you will hear the whisper of intuition, the divine compass guiding your next step. The greatest leaders listen more than they speak. The greatest creators pause before they act. The greatest warriors breathe before they strike. Stillness is not weakness, it is awareness. Awareness is strength. When you act from awareness instead of impulse from faith, instead of fear, you align yourself with the deeper intelligence of life itself. The right people appear. The right ideas surface. The right timing unfolds. That is not coincidence, that is connection. Faith, action, awareness. These three form the holy trinity of creation. Faith gives you vision. Action gives it form. Awareness ensures alignment. When all three are in harmony, nothing can stand in your way. And still you must remember there will be days when everything you've built feels like it's crumbling. There will be nights when your purpose feels hollow, your mind exhausted, your heart numb. In those moments, remember this too is part of the process. The breakdown precedes the breakthrough. The darkness precedes the dawn. The seed must split before it grows. Hold your ground. Even when nothing makes sense, hold your ground. Even when progress hides from your eyes, hold your ground. Because persistence in the absence of proof is the highest form of faith. It is the final test every creator must pass. And when you pass it, when you endure long enough, when you act relentlessly enough, when you believe deeply enough, something extraordinary happens. You break through, not by luck, not by chance, but by law. The law that says those who refuse to quit must eventually win. Your time will come. Your season will arrive. But only if you do not stop. So force yourself day by day, hour by hour, breath by breath to keep moving. Not in desperation, but in devotion. Not because you must, but because you can. Because action is how you honor the gift of existence. Because to live without acting is to die while breathing. You are meant for more than survival. You are meant to leave something behind, an imprint of will, a legacy of faith, a story that echoes long after your heartbeat fades. That legacy begins not with one grand act, but with the daily choice to act at all. So act. Act boldly. Act relentlessly. Act until the word impossible no longer belongs in your vocabulary. And one day when you stand on the mountain of your own making, looking down at the valleys you once thought would destroy you, you will understand that every moment of struggle was sacred, every setback was necessary, every delay was divine. Because through it all, you were never being punished. You were being prepared. Prepared for the day your power could no longer be denied. Prepared for the day your faith became sight. Prepared for the day the world finally caught up to what you always knew. That greatness was never outside you. It was within you all along. So rise, and keep rising, until every dream within you becomes reality, until your existence itself becomes a testament to the eternal truth, that nothing, no fear, no doubt, no failure can stop the mind that has decided to act. Force yourself to take action day by day, and watch the universe bow to your will. Because when you reach that point when you fought, bled, and risen more times than you can count, you will finally understand what every great soul before you tried to tell the world, that power was never about domination or fortune or fame. Power was and always will be the mastery of self. the ability to command your own mind, direct your own emotions, and persist through storms that destroy lesser men. The world bows to the man who has mastered himself because he cannot be shaken. His calm is unbreakable, his conviction unyielding. His word becomes law, not because he shouts, but because his life proves it. That is true strength, quiet, immovable, eternal. And that kind of strength is not born overnight. It is carved from discipline, from repetition, from heartbreak, from sweat. Each day you force yourself to take action, you sharpen the blade of your will. Each decision, each effort, each act of courage, they are all strokes of the hammer shaping the steel of your soul. You must learn to fall in love with the grind, the unseen labor, the long road. The nights when no one claps, the mornings when no one helps, the years when no one understands. Those are the sacred seasons of greatness. They are the crucibles that burn away ego, impatience, and weakness until only truth remains. Because truth is what endures when everything else falls away. Truth that the mind is master. Truth that fear is illusion. Truth that failure is a teacher, not an enemy. Truth that persistence is the highest form of faith. And in that truth you will discover peace, not the peace of rest, but the peace of power. The kind of peace that comes when you finally stop running from difficulty and begin embracing it as your greatest ally. Because struggle refines you, discipline liberates you, and responsibility, that sacred word so few embrace, responsibility, exalts you. Take responsibility for your life. All of it. The pain, the victories, the detours, the disappointments. Own every chapter, every choice, every outcome. Because the moment you stop blaming, you begin creating. The moment you take full ownership, you reclaim your power. Understand no one is coming to save you. No one owes you a rescue, a miracle, or an easier road. You are both the problem and the solution. You are the sculptor and the stone. And if that truth feels heavy, good, because within that weight lies freedom. Freedom from excuses. Freedom from waiting. Freedom from the illusion that destiny is handed to you. Destiny is forged by those who demand it, who bleed for it, who act for it when no one else will. And that is what separates the few from the many. The many hope, the few decide. The many wish, the few act. The many complain, the few persist. You were not born to be one of the many. You were born to rise above, to defy inertia, to lead by example, to prove what the human spirit is capable of when it refuses to surrender. This world was built by those who acted. The monuments of civilization are not memorials to dreamers, they are testaments to doers. The pyramids, the railroads, the machines, the revolutions, all born from the same seed, a single thought acted upon relentlessly. Thought alone changes nothing. It is thought expressed through action that transforms the world. A man can think of freedom for a lifetime and remain a slave. But one act of courage, one choice of defiance, one moment of daring, that is enough to alter the course of history. Action is the bridge between imagination and reality. It is the language the universe understands. Speak to life with your movement, not your words. Move toward your vision daily. When you're tired, move slowly. When you're unsure, move carefully. When you're afraid, move anyway. Because movement itself dissolves fear. Stagnation magnifies it. The man who moves wins. The man who waits decays. You will stumble, you will fail, you will fall to your knees and question everything. But if you keep rising, if you keep acting, if you keep choosing progress over paralysis, then failure will become your teacher and not your tombstone. Failure, when embraced, becomes a mirror. It shows you where you must grow, what you must refine, how much stronger you can become. There is no shame in falling. The shame lies only in refusing to rise. Each fall teaches resilience, and resilience breeds power. Power of spirit, power of will, power of vision. Until eventually you become the kind of person who no longer fears storms because you are the storm. You begin to realize that adversity was never the enemy, it was the sculptor. The chisels of pain and loss were carving the foundation of your greatness all along. Every rejection, every detour, every heartbreak, all of it was preparation. Preparation for the day your strength would be needed. Preparation for the moment you would step into the fullness of who you are. Preparation for the calling only you were meant to fulfill. And when that moment arrives, you will feel it. The air will shift. The doubt will fall away. The fatigue will disappear, and you will act not from fear, not from desire for approval, but from truth. That is what all this has been leading toward, the mastery of truth. The truth that success was never about arriving somewhere, but about becoming someone. Someone who acts without waiting. Someone who moves without needing validation. Someone who chooses faith over fear, purpose over pleasure, growth over comfort. Someone who lives deliberately day by day, hour by hour, decision by decision. So keep going, keep building. Keep forcing yourself to act not because motivation lasts, but because character does. Character is forged in the fire of repeated choice. Every day you act despite how you feel you are building the foundation of a life that cannot crumble. One day you will stand in the silence of your own creation, surrounded by the results of 1,000 unseen actions. You will remember the nights you almost quit, the days you felt invisible, the moments you questioned everything. And you will smile because you will know you became who you were meant to be. Not by luck, not by chance, but by will. The will to act when no one believed. The will to persist when nothing worked. The will to keep going when the world told you to stop. That is greatness, the relentless courage to keep showing up. Because in the end, life does not reward those who start the fastest. It rewards those who finish. The ones who walk through fire and refuse to look back. The ones who choose purpose over comfort, truth over convenience, discipline over ease. Force yourself to take action day by day. Force yourself until it no longer feels like force but freedom. Because that's what it becomes. The freedom to move when others freeze. The freedom to create when others complain. The freedom to command your destiny instead of begging for it. You are the author. The page is blank. The pen is in your hand. Write boldly. Live deliberately. Act relentlessly. And when your final day comes, when your time on this earth is complete, let no regret find you. Let your hands be scarred from effort, your heart full from purpose, and your mind at peace, knowing this simple, eternal truth. You did not wait, you did not wish, you acted. You lived as the universe intended, awake, alive, unstoppable. And through your action, you left behind more than success. You left behind proof. Proof that one human armed with faith, purpose, and persistence can reshape reality itself. That is your legacy. That is your power. That is your destiny. Force yourself to take action day by day and become unstoppable. And as the final hour of this journey approaches, as the echo of every struggle, every sacrifice, every breath of effort reverberates through your life story, remember this: you have always been more than you thought, more than your doubts, more than your fears, more than the pain that tried to define you. You are the living proof of what happens when a human being decides to rise not once but endlessly. There is a moment deep in the heart of perseverance when you cross an invisible line, a line that separates who you were from who you've become. It doesn't come with fanfare or applause. It comes in silence, a still knowing that you no longer break where you once bent, that you no longer hesitate where you once froze, that your old limits have become ghosts, unable to touch the person you are now. You will feel it, the power of alignment, the harmony between what you think, what you say, and what you do. That is integrity, that is mastery, that is truth, that yuta. And when a man lives in truth, he becomes a force of nature. The mountains move for him not because he demands it, but because he no longer doubts that he can climb them. The seas part not because the world obeys him, but because his spirit flows with such conviction that reality itself cannot resist. That is the power that has always lived within you. The same power that moved Gandhi to free a nation. That drove Edison to light the world. That led Lincoln to unite the broken. That inspired Carnegie to build an empire. It is not theirs alone. It is yours, waiting patiently for you to believe. Belief, the quiet architect of destiny. It is the seed from which all miracles grow. But belief alone is not enough. It must be watered by discipline, nurtured by persistence, and protected by faith. When those forces unite, the impossible becomes inevitable. You have learned by now that life will test you, that every dream comes with a price, that every goal demands a sacrifice. But in truth, nothing is ever taken from you. Every challenge that strips you of comfort gives you strength. Every heartbreak that breaks your illusion gives you wisdom. Every failure that humbles you gives you depth. Life does not take it trades, and it trades upward, always upward, if you refuse to quit. Because the man who refuses to quit cannot lose. He can stumble, he can bleed, he can fall, but he cannot lose. For as long as he stands again, life must yield to his persistence. It is the law of existence itself that which endures conquers. So let endurance be your signature. Let your name be synonymous with perseverance. Let the world say, he never stopped, she never gave in. Because the ones who never stop are the ones who redefine what's possible. And when your faith trembles, and it will return to gratitude. Gratitude is the light that cuts through doubt. It reminds you that you have already overcome more than most ever will. It reminds you that each breath, each step, each sunrise is a gift, another chance to create, to grow, to serve. Gratitude doesn't make you soft, it makes you strong. It reminds you that the power that made the stars also made you. When you walk with gratitude, you walk with grace. And grace combined with grit is unstoppable. You have come so far. From the early days of confusion and hesitation, through the long nights of fear and fatigue, through the storms that made you question your worth, and yet here you are. Standing, breathing, believing. That alone is victory. But it is not the end. Because greatness has no finish line. Every victory only reveals a higher peak. Every breakthrough demands another birth. The journey never ends, it only deepens. The man who has found his purpose does not rest. He expands. So expand. Expand your courage. Expand your love. Expand your imagination until it terrifies you. Because that fear is the doorway to your next transformation. Dream so boldly that your old self can't comprehend it. Act so decisively that the timid version of you disappears forever. Live so intensely that mediocrity cannot coexist in your presence. And when doubt comes, as it always does, smile at it. You've danced with doubt before and you've won. You've looked fear in the eyes and you've walked through it. You faced nights that felt endless and yet every dawn found you standing. You are no longer the one who wonders if it's possible. You are the one who proves that it is. There will come a day when others look at your life and call it luck. Let them. They will not see the years of unseen labor. They will not feel the weight you carried or the tears you buried. They will not understand the mornings you rose before dawn or the nights you worked when your body begged for rest. They will not see the war you fought in silence. But you will know. And that knowing, that quiet pride will mean more than any applause ever could. Because you will know that every inch of your success was earned. That you did not wait for motivation, you created it. That you did not depend on hope, you built certainty. That you did not wish for miracles, you became one. And that is what this world needs. Not more dreamers who wait, but more doers who act. More warriors of will. More architects of belief. You are that warrior now. The dream that once seemed impossible has become the foundation of who you are. The fire that once flickered now burns eternal. You have become the embodiment of the principle that built empires and moved mountains, that thought backed by faith, fueled by purpose, and expressed through relentless action becomes reality. So keep creating, keep acting, keep expanding. Even when you succeed, especially when you succeed, keep going. Because success is not a destination, it is a responsibility. It is the universe asking, now that you've awakened, what will you build next? Build something that outlives you. A life, a legacy, an impact that ripples through generations. Not through wealth alone, but through example. Let your story become a living testament to what's possible when a human being decides to stop waiting and start acting. Because somewhere right now, another soul is lost in doubt, waiting for a sign, waiting for proof that greatness still exists. Be that proof. Be the reason someone else believes. When your final breath comes and the story of your life is complete, let it read like this. Here was a human being who refused to settle, who refused to wait, who refused to die with their potential still inside them. Here was a soul who acted every day in faith, in fire, in purpose. Here was one who lived as if eternity depended on their effort. And in doing so, they changed the world. Because one life lived with conviction can ignite millions. One voice of certainty can silence generations of doubt. One act of courage can alter the course of history. That is the power you hold. That is the truth Napoleon Hill understood. That is the truth every visionary has lived, that the mind, when disciplined, when believed in, when acted upon, becomes divine. So take that truth, carry it, guard it, live it. And from this moment forward, never again underestimate the power of a single day, a single decision, a single act. Because that's all it ever takes to change everything. Force yourself to take action day by day, until action becomes habit, until habit becomes identity, until identity becomes destiny. And when destiny bows before you, you will understand it was never destiny at all. It was you. It was always you.